Miguel always believed that he knew exactly what his purpose in life was. From a young age, he carried in his heart the certainty that he would be a good provider, a present father, an attentive husband. He grew up watching his own father leave before dawn to work on the family farm, returning only when the sun had set, with calloused hands and a face marked by time. "A real man takes care of his own," his father used to say while they shared Sunday breakfast, the only day old Edward allowed himself to rest. Miguel absorbed those words like a prayer he would repeat to himself in moments of doubt. When he met Clara, at a party in the small town where they lived, he instantly knew she would be the woman with whom he would build his family. Clara had brown eyes that seemed to hold all the secrets of the world, and a smile that lit up any room. She was a teacher at the local school, intelligent and passionate about literature. At that time, Miguel had already secured a promising job at a technology company in the big city 2 hours away. The wedding came after 3 years of dating, in a simple yet heartfelt ceremony. They bought a modest house in the suburbs of the big city, and Miguel made a point to commute every day for work, just so Clara could stay close to her family. When Sophia was born 6 years ago, Clara temporarily left her career to dedicate herself to motherhood. 2 years later, David came along, completing what Miguel considered to be the perfect family. The living room of their house had walls covered with photographs, Miguel teaching Sophia to ride a bicycle, David taking his first steps, Clara smiling with the children at a picnic in the park. These images told the story of a happy, united family, just as Miguel had always dreamed. At family dinners, Miguel would tell stories about the office, the promotions he won, and the compliments from his boss. Clara looked at him with admiration, while Sophia and David listened with wide eyes, as if their father were a superhero disguised as an ordinary man. For 8 years, life followed its perfect course. Miguel advanced in his career, ensuring that his family never lacked anything. On Friday nights, after a tiring week of work, he still found the energy to make popcorn and watch movies with the children. On weekends, he would take them to ride bikes in the park or visit their grandparents on the farm. It was on an ordinary Tuesday that Miguel's world began to crumble. There was something different in the air when he arrived at the office. Colleagues avoided his gaze, whispering among themselves. The entire department was called in for an emergency meeting. The company was being sold, and half of the employees would be let go. Miguel was among them. "Don't worry," Clara said that night, trying to keep her voice steady. "I have contacts. With my experience, I'll find something quickly." But days turned into weeks, and weeks into months. The resumes sent out accumulated without response. The few interviews he managed to get always seemed to end with the same phrase, "We'll be in touch." The contact never came. Clara, noticing the situation, decided to return to work. An old college friend had opened a private school and needed an educational coordinator. The salary was good, better than Clara had ever imagined. Initially, Miguel felt relieved. The bills needed to be paid, after all. But there was also a silent discomfort, a strange feeling watching Clara leave for work while he stayed at home. "You are lucky, man," said Ryan, his longtime friend, during a backyard barbecue. "Staying at home, taking care of the kids, while the wife brings in the money, that's the dream." The others laughed, raising their beer bottles. Miguel forced a smile but felt as if he'd been punched in the stomach. "Yeah, now he's become the house husband," joked another friend. "Clara has become the man of the relationship." The laughter continued, and Miguel stepped away, pretending he needed to turn the meat on the grill. He looked at Clara, who was animatedly talking to other women about her new job. She seemed radiant, fulfilled like she hadn't been in a long time. "My daughter is shining in this job," Miguel heard Karen, his mother-in-law, comment to a friend while they were serving dessert. "And thank goodness, because someone needed to save this family. Miguel has been unable to get anything for months." Shame burned his face. He walked away before he could hear more, not noticing that Clara had approached her mother. "Mum, don't talk like that. Miguel has always been a man of great worth who has always provided love and care for our family. He is doing his best. I'm sure the right doors will open soon," Clara said firmly. He has been a wonderful father to the children. That's what matters now. But Miguel had already left, carrying with him only the words of criticism from his mother-in-law that he had overheard. The days at home had become a torment. Although he loved spending time with the children, each moment was also a reminder of his failure. When Clara came home from work, full of stories about her productive day, he felt smaller and smaller. One night, after putting the kids to bed, Miguel checked his phone. There was an unread message. It was from his father inviting him to visit the farm. "I'm getting old," Edward had written, "and the land needs younger hands." There was a way out. On the farm he could work with his hands, feel useful again. Perhaps his family would be better off without him, without having to bear the burden of a defeated man. A man who did not honour the duty to provide. At dinner that night, the silence weighed heavily between him and Clara. The children chattered about their day at school, but Miguel could barely pay attention. He watched his wife's face, trying to memorize every detail, as if he were already saying goodbye. After the children went to the room, he finally spoke. "Clara, I've been thinking, maybe it would be better for everyone if I went back to my father's farm for a while." His voice came out weaker than he intended. "He needs help. And here I'm not managing to do my part." Clara looked at him with astonishment, then with a deep sadness. "Miguel, you don't need to do this. We are a family, we've been through everything together." "You don't understand," he said, feeling his throat tighten. "I see how well things are working without me. You at work, the children at school. I feel like a burden." "This is not true." Clara tried to reach for his hand, but he pulled away. "The children need you. I need you." "Do you really?" he asked bitterly. "Or would it be easier without having to carry me too?" He left the kitchen before she could respond, heading upstairs to the bedroom. The decision was already made. He took the suitcase from the closet and started to pack some clothes. He wouldn't take much, just enough to start over. Perhaps when he had something to offer again, he could return. The next morning came too quickly. Miguel had spent the night on the living room sofa, unable to sleep next to Clara. He woke up before everyone else, prepared breakfast as he always did, and waited. When Clara and the children came downstairs, he tried to act normally, but the suitcase by the door revealed his intentions. "Are you going on a trip, Daddy?" asked Sophia, her big eyes fixed on the suitcase. "Yes, dear," he replied, avoiding looking at Clara. "I'm going to visit Grandpa Edward for a while." "Can we come along?" his son David asked excitedly. "Not this time, champ. But I promise that afterward, you can come to visit me." Breakfast proceeded in tense silence, broken only by the innocent questions of the children. When they finished, Clara took them upstairs to get ready for school, casting a look at Miguel that was a mix of disappointment and pleading. He took the opportunity to carry the suitcase to the car. He was ready. He would just wait for Clara to leave with the children for school, and then he would leave. He would leave behind a letter better explaining his reasons. The sound of footsteps on the stairs indicated they were coming down. Miguel took a deep breath, preparing for the goodbyes. Clara appeared first, holding the children's backpacks, her red eyes betraying that she had been crying. David followed soon after, still sleepy. "Where's Sophia?" Miguel asked, noticing his daughter's absence. "She said she forgot something in the room," Clara replied with a trembling voice. At that moment, Sophia came running down the stairs, holding something in her hands. She approached Miguel and handed him a drawing. It depicted 4 stick figures: a tall man, a woman with long hair, and 2 small children. "It's us, Daddy," Sophia explained. "We are a family." Miguel felt his heart tighten. He looked at his daughter, so small, so innocent, and then at the drawing in his hands. "It's beautiful, my princess," he managed to say. Clara approached the door. "Come on, children, or we will be late." David ran to give his father a hug before leaving. Sophia, however, stood still, staring at Miguel, as if she were analysing something only she could see. "Dad," she finally said, her voice small and choked with emotion, "if you go away, who will teach me to be strong?" The world stopped. Sophia's words hit Miguel like a wave, breaking down all the barriers he had built. His legs gave way, and he fell to his knees before his daughter, his eyes brimming with tears. "What did you say, my love?" he asked, his voice almost inaudible. "You always say we need to be strong when things get tough," Sophia continued, her eyes shining with withheld tears. "That we can't give up. How am I supposed to learn that if you leave?" Miguel looked at his daughter, truly looked, and saw something he hadn't noticed before. In her eyes, he wasn't a failure. He wasn't someone who had lost his job and worth. He was simply the father, the hero she watched every day, learning from each gesture, each word. And in that moment, he understood. Being present, even when everything seemed to be falling apart, was the greatest demonstration of strength he could offer his children. It wasn't about the job he had or how much money he brought home. It was about getting up every morning and trying again, even when everything seemed impossible. "You're right, my princess," he finally said, pulling Sophia in for a tight hug. "And I'm not going anywhere, I promise." Clara approached, kneeling beside them, with David soon joining the family hug. For a few minutes they stayed like that, united, as if the outside world didn't exist. "I think we can delay a little today," Clara said softly, wiping her own tears. "Let's talk." As the children played in the living room, Miguel and Clara sat at the kitchen table, their hands intertwined. "I never wanted you to feel this way," Clara began. "When I went back to work, it wasn't to replace you. It was because we are a team." "I know," Miguel replied, feeling the weight of shame. "But I felt so useless, so incomplete, as if I had failed all of you." "Miguel, look at me." Clara held his face in her hands. "You are much more than a job. You are the man who teaches us about persistence, about unconditional love. It was you who stayed up all night when Sophia had a fever. It was you who taught David to ride a bike, even after he fell 10 times. Miguel felt a lump in his throat. "But what about providing for the family? My father always said—" "Times have changed," Clara interrupted gently. "Providing isn't just about money. It's about time, attention, love. And in that, you have never failed." In the following days, something started to change in Miguel. Instead of seeing time at home as a punishment, he began to view it as an opportunity. He started to help more actively with household chores, plan activities with the children after school. And, in his free hours, he decided to study programming online, a skill he had always wanted to improve. A month later, he received an email from a startup seeking someone with his profile to work remotely. The pay was less than his previous job, but it allowed him to work from home, balancing work with family time. That night, during dinner, Miguel shared the news. "I am so proud of you," said Clara, squeezing his hand across the table. "You didn't give up, Daddy," exclaimed Sophia, her eyes shining with admiration. "No, Princess," replied Miguel, feeling a peace he hadn't experienced in months. "I learned from you that being strong isn't about never falling, it's about getting up every time it's needed." As he watched his family gathered around the table, Miguel thought about how close he had come to throwing it all away. In life, things don't always go as we plan. There are moments of downfall, doubt, and darkness, but giving up should never be an option, not when there is so much love to give and receive. And it was there, in the warmth of his home, surrounded by the people he loved most in the world, that Miguel found his true strength. Not in titles or salaries, but in the ability to persevere, to love unconditionally, and to be, above all, present. If you enjoyed the story, please leave a comment with a rating from 1 to 5 to show how much you liked it. Also, watch the video that is now appearing on your screen. See you soon.